Okay, so let's dive right into a case where a simple traffic ticket, well, it completely spirals into a deep, deep examination of our constitutional rights, pretty much moment by agonizing moment. So the question is, when does a routine traffic stop cross that line and become an illegal seizure? We're actually going to use the officer's own body camera footage to pinpoint the exact moment that happens. We're going to find that line. Okay, so check out this timeline. This entire encounter stretched for nearly 2 hours. It all starts pretty normally, right? The first 5 minutes, you've got your traffic violation and some initial questions. But then, look at this. It just balloons into 40 minutes of prolonged questioning and investigation. After that, field sobriety tests. And it's not until the 102-minute mark that we see a search of the passenger. But here's the thing, and this is what's so fascinating. The crucial legal line, it was crossed way, way earlier than you might think. All right, so how did this whole thing even start? Well, just like thousands of other traffic stops every single day, it all kicked off with a totally ordinary minor traffic violation. And let's be super clear about this. The law is unambiguous on this point. An officer can absolutely pull you over for any technical violation of the traffic code. So, the initial stop? Totally, 100% legal, no question about it. But here's the catch, right? That authority to pull you over, it's not a blank check. It doesn't mean the officer can do whatever they want for as long as they want. It's actually governed by a really specific rule, and it comes with a ticking clock. So let's see what the Supreme Court has to say about this. So, in a huge case called Rodriguez v. United States, the Supreme Court basically created what you could call a temporal wall. Think of it like this. A countdown timer starts the moment the stop begins, and an officer's authority to keep you there, it ends the second the original mission of that traffic stop is over. Boom, the wall comes down. So what is that mission? It's pretty simple, actually. It's limited to these ordinary inquiries you see here. Checking your license, looking for warrants, checking your registration and insurance. See the pattern? It's all about road safety. You know, the whole reason for the stop in the first place. Anything else? That's off mission. And right here, listen to this. We're just at the 5-minute mark. The officer has the driver's documents in his hand, and he immediately takes a detour. Where are you guys heading to tonight? Where are you coming from? These questions have absolutely nothing to do with the turn signal. This right here is the first crucial step off the legal path. And this is the moment. The Rodriguez clock starts now. From this second forward, any time spent on unrelated questions, unless the officer gets some new specific reason to suspect another crime is happening, is a potential violation of the Fourth Amendment. And that's a key phrase, reasonable suspicion. It can't just be a hunch. It has to be based on actual facts. So yeah, that constitutional clock is officially ticking. So at this point, the officer completely pivots. The whole mission changes. We've gone from a simple traffic stop to a full-blown roadside interrogation. And this is all happening while the driver is repeatedly asking to just take her ticket and go home. He's asking about her arrest history, about their personal relationship, who they know. I mean, these are classic fishing expedition questions. He's just casting a wide net, hoping to catch something. They have nothing to do with the original mission. He even separates them to question them individually, really dialing up the pressure. I mean, listen to the driver. She could not be any clearer. I apologize, I'll take the citation, I'd like to get home. She gets it. The traffic mission is over and she wants to leave. But does the stop end? No. The detention continues for more than another hour. Okay, so how does the officer justify holding them this long? Well, he points to two things: the driver's nervousness and some inconsistencies in their stories about their trip. So this is the million-dollar question, right? Does that stuff actually meet the legal standard for reasonable suspicion that he needs to keep this stop going? So here are the diverging stories. The driver says, "We just brought a friend down," but the passenger says it was just you two. It's a pretty minor inconsistency, right? Something that could easily be chalked up to nervousness. But this is what the officer latches onto to justify a whole new investigation. And then he just comes right out and says it, basically saying the quiet part out loud. He explicitly says because your stories aren't matching up and you have a history, he wants to make sure there are no drugs involved. He's connecting their past and this minor story change to a brand new suspicion of drug activity. But again, is that legally enough? Well, Pennsylvania law, especially from this huge case, Commonwealth versus Hicks, is crystal clear on this. Being nervous, telling a slightly different story. That kind of thing is not enough to create reasonable suspicion of a crime. Period. It just doesn't meet the bar. Okay, now let's shift gears and talk about the passenger for a second. Think about it from his perspective. He wasn't driving, he didn't do anything wrong, and yet here he is detained on the side of the road for well over an hour and a half. He has his own set of rights, and they are being directly impacted by this illegally prolonged stop. So finally, at the 102-minute mark, the officer turns his attention to the passenger's bag. The passenger is totally upfront. He says he has marijuana, and then, this is the crucial part, he immediately shows the officer a valid medical marijuana license. His name's on it, it's in the original package, everything is completely legal. And this is where another really important legal principle kicks in. It's similar to that Hicks case we talked about. The courts have basically said that doing something perfectly legal, like having medical marijuana with a license, can't be used as an excuse to then search you. It's considered legally neutral. It doesn't point towards guilt or innocence. It's just a fact. But in this case, the passenger's lawful conduct was basically treated as if it were evidence of a crime. And this right here, this is the critical protection for the passenger. It's a legal idea called fruit of the poisonous tree. It's a great name, right? It basically means if the tree is bad, in this case, the illegally prolonged stop, that any fruit that comes from it is also bad. Since the stop was illegal pretty much from the 5-minute mark, everyone in that car was illegally seized. That gives a passenger full legal standing to say any evidence found after that point is tainted and should be thrown out of court. So after going through all of that, what does this actually mean for you? What are the big takeaways? Well, there are some really clear and powerful legal guardrails in place to protect you during any traffic stop. It really boils down to these 3 big ideas. First, you've got the temporal wall from Rodriguez that puts a time limit on the stop. Second, there's the substantive bar from cases like Hicks. That means legal activity can't be twisted into suspicion. And third, the fruit of the poisonous tree, which protects everyone in the car if those first 2 rules get broken. But that leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? If the Constitution sets these boundaries, what enforces them on the side of the road? And what this case really shows us is that while your rights exist every single second of an encounter, their ultimate enforcement, well, that often happens long after the flashing lights are gone. It happens later, in a quiet courtroom, through the rules of evidence.